You never really plan on becoming a midwife, especially not for a cat, and especially not in your cluttered garage. I thought I was just doing a small good thing, leaving the back window open, putting out a little food. I figured, what's the harm? It helps the neighborhood strays get through a tough night. I never imagined that this simple act of kindness would turn my life upside down and lead me to one of the most stressful and honestly most beautiful experiences I've ever had. It all started with one cat, a quiet, watchful, striped cat who had a secret she was about to share with the world, whether I was ready for it or not. So this one stray, she was a regular. Most of them were. They'd sneak in through the window, have a quick meal, and be on their way. But she started lingering. She had this beautiful, thick raccoon-like pattern on her fur, but her belly was getting round in a way that had nothing to do with the food I was leaving out. The realization dawned on me slowly, then all at once. She was pregnant. My garage, full of old boxes and forgotten tools, was about to become a maternity ward. A part of me panicked, thinking, what am I going to do? But a bigger part of me just knew I couldn't turn my back on her. Not now. My first thought was comfort. I went out and bought a soft, plush cat bed. I put it in a quiet corner of the garage, hoping she'd see it as a 5-star hotel suite. But she was smarter than me. As the days got colder, I noticed she had completely ignored my offering. Instead, she'd burrowed her way into a pile of old clothes I had stored in a cardboard box. She was making a nest, a warm, soft, insulated nest. I had to laugh. She knew exactly what she needed way better than I did. She was getting ready. And watching her, I felt my own anxiety kick into high gear. The big day was coming soon. And then it happened. I went out to check on her one evening, and there, nestled against her, was a tiny, damp, wriggling creature, the first kitten. A little orange one, mewing so softly you could barely hear it. My heart just stopped. It was incredible. I wanted to cover them up with the blanket, but a terrible thought hit me. What if she needs to leave for a minute and the window latch closes? What if she can't get back in? These babies wouldn't survive for an hour in the cold. I couldn't risk it. With my heart pounding, I made a decision. I had to move them. I had to bring them inside. Gently, so gently, I scooped up the mother, the newborn, and the entire box of clothes and carried them upstairs to my spare room. I set up a small speed heater to keep the corner nice and toasty. The mother cat, bless her heart, was so focused on labor she barely protested. And then the parade began. One by one, they arrived. The second one looked just like her, a perfect raccoon-patterned kitten. All this commotion attracted some unwanted attention. My own cat, a big, curious golden tabby named Leo, knew something was up. He kept creeping towards the door, trying to peek inside. I had to play bouncer, shooing him away. The last thing this new mother needed was a curious landlord barging in. After a few hours, she was finally done. 4 perfect little kittens. There was the first orange one pure raccoon baby, and 2 that looked like a mix, mostly white with raccoon patches on their heads and tails. The mother cat was utterly exhausted. You could just see it in her eyes. But she immediately started her work, cleaning them, nudging them to nurse. I helped her out a bit, dabbing her gently with some warm, damp tissues. But even in her exhaustion, she was a fierce protector. Every time my cat, Leo, even walked past the door, her ears would flatten and a low growl would rumble in her chest. The battle lines were drawn. This was her space and her babies, and no golden tabby was going to get near them. The next few weeks were a blur of cute chaos. I made them a bigger box, but it was like they saw it as a challenge. Soon enough, they were big enough to climb out. It was a kitten jailbreak every single day. They'd tumble out and start exploring, running around on their clumsy little legs, pouncing on each other's tails, and play fighting with an intensity that was just hilarious to watch. My spare room was no longer my spare room. It was a full-blown kitten playground. Meanwhile, the Cold War between Mama Cat and Leo never thawed. Even after a month of living upstairs, if they got within a few feet of each other, the hissing would start. It was a constant low-level tension in the house. Once the kittens started eating solid food, making a huge mess of their wet food, of course, I knew it was time for a change. Keeping them all upstairs indefinitely just wasn't practical, especially with the constant cat fights. So, with a bit of a heavy heart, I decided to move them back to the garage. But this time, I gave it a serious upgrade. I set up a large enclosed playpen area, multiple litter trays, fresh water, and food stations. It was the most deluxe garage apartment a cat could ask for. Mama Cat took it all in stride. Her focus was entirely on her little ones. She'd sit perched on a box, watching them like a hawk, making sure they were all safe and sound. One afternoon, I came home from work and I saw him. A big, handsome tomcat with the exact same raccoon pattern as Mama and two of her kittens, just wandering near my driveway. He looked at the garage, sniffed the air, and then moved on. It had to be him. He was almost certainly the father. It was like solving a little neighborhood mystery. And it explained the raccoon kittens, but what about the little orange one? I remembered another tomcat, a big ginger cat who used to visit a lot, but I hadn't seen him in months. I guess Mama Cat had two suitors. It made the little family feel even more like a unique patchwork quilt. As the kittens grew into boisterous little teenagers, I knew the next step was the hardest. It was time to find them their forever homes. I posted their pictures online, I talked to friends, I vetted every single person who was interested. It was gut-wrenching to say goodbye to each one. The first to go were the two white and raccoon twins, to a wonderful family with kids who were so excited. Then a week later, the little orange one found a home with a quiet, kind woman who promised to spoil him rotten. Each time I handed one over, a piece of my heart went with them. But I knew it was the right thing. They were going to warm, loving homes where they would never have to worry about the cold or where their next meal was coming from. And now it's just the two of them. Mama Cat and her little mini me, the pure raccoon kitten, are still here. I've decided to keep them together. It just didn't feel right to separate them. Watching them mother has been the most incredible part of this whole journey. She arrived as a scared pregnant stray, just looking for a safe corner. And I watched her transform into the most devoted, fierce, and loving mother. She did everything right. She still spends most of her day in the garage, but now the door to the house is often open. She's still wary of Leo, but the tension is lower. Her favorite spot is on top of a stack of storage bins right by the window. She's not looking for food anymore. She's on guard duty. She watches that window like a sentry, making sure no other strays wander into her territory, her home. She protected her family, and now she's protecting her space. I just provided the shelter. She's the one that made it a home. And I wouldn't trade the stress, the mess, or the worry for anything. Not for a second.